Everybody, welcome back to the second of the Mussar Mondays, second of hopefully many years of studying our traits. The second trait that we're going to talk about is the trait of Atzlut. Atzlut is laziness. Now, what we're going to do is, before we begin defining what laziness is, I'd like to go around the room with whoever would like to share in one word, what does laziness mean to you? Okay? So, please, anybody who has anything you'd like to share.
Sure. Laziness is someone who basically just don't want to do very much and sit down and...
Okay, so someone who doesn't want to do much. Yes. Idleness. Not motivated. Procrastination. Anybody else? Depression. Well, depression can be a medical issue. Not
an extreme version.
Okay.
You don't want to go to work.
Right. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So let's start with defining the trait of laziness. Now, before we begin, we each have this Mira worksheet. Any of you on Facebook who would like to have a copy, please email me and I'll happily send you a copy. Anybody here who wants a copy, you're welcome to email me or ask me after class and I'll happily share with you this file. And you can print it. You can have 100 of them and use them every week, or I'm going to try to keep on providing them every week as well. Now, what we're going to first do is define the trait. You don't have to use this yet to write, but at the end of every class, we're going to have a chance to write our new definition for this trait, and then have some introspection, a cheshbon hanefesh, where we can, really mark where we stand in this trait, and then we're going to have work for the future. What am I going to do to improve this trait? And then we're going to try to accept something small on ourselves. Now, last week we spoke about kindness. Last week that we met, we spoke about kindness, and what we said was we should try to find one person. Set at a specific time that you're going to look around, perhaps, or find one person that you're going to find something that they need. So if it's someone who needs a word of encouragement, you'll give them that word of encouragement. If it's someone who needs a hug, you'll give them a hug. If someone who needs a glass of water, you'll give them a glass of water. Not because they're asking and not because you want it, but because they need it now. And we said that kindness is not doing what we want to do for someone else, but rather doing what the other person needs. It's by the other person's needs, but not by our will or wishes of what we want to give. All right? So, when we talk about laziness, our sages tell us a very interesting thing. Our sages tell us that laziness is something we all have because we are heavy by nature. The Ramchal tells us in Mesilat Yesharim, he says that we are heavy by nature. Ki adam kaved b'tiv'o. What does that mean? Do you ever see a brick running around? No, a brick is heavy. He sits down, right? He's heavy. Now, the difference between us and a brick is that we have feet. We have intellect. We have emotion. We have motivation. We have a lot of things that inspire us, that brick, to move. That a brick doesn't have that. A brick is a brick. But what we are capable of doing throughout our lifetimes is to take that brick, our own physical body, and use the motivation, use the feet, use the intellect to do things. By nature, we're heavy. By nature, we fall like gravity, with gravity. That's the way we are by nature. Laziness is a really negative trait. Kindness, we spoke last week, is a positive trait. Laziness is a negative trait. It's bad if one is overcome with this trait for life in this world, and for sure for the results in the world to come. Right? Because one will lack the quality of life in this world and will lack the rewards for deeds in the world to come. Someone who's lazy will miss out on opportunities. Someone who's proactive, someone who has the trait of alacrity, zrizut, which we'll talk about in a few weeks. Someone who has the trait of getting things done doesn't miss out on a lot because they get it done. Someone who's lazy will miss out on opportunities. So instead of going to do things, like all of you today are here because you were not lazy. You could have sat down and watched the Texans game. You could have done a lot of things. You could have listened to talk radio. You could have sent letters to the congressman. But instead you decided to come here, to get up and to walk to your car and to drive here and to get into the classroom and to sit down. So we're going to talk a little bit about how we get there and how we make sure that we have motivation in all areas of life, but just so that we understand what this is. By nature, we are heavy. By nature, we're heavy. By nature, we're lazy. Okay? Don't feel bad if you feel like you're lazy. Oh, I can't believe it. I'm going to beat myself up because I'm lazy. Don't worry about it. We're all lazy. Now, some are just a little bit more lazy than others, but we all have that intrinsically in our character. That's in who we are. So, lazy people love resting, they love relaxing, and hence, everything is difficult for them. Learning is difficult, praying is difficult, work is difficult, playing is difficult. Everything is difficult. Right? Now, I asked my rabbi many years ago. My rabbi sleeps very, very few hours. And I was learning with my rabbi one-on-one. I had precious time that I was able to learn with my rabbi. And sometimes he'd fall asleep in the middle. I'm sitting right across the table. And he'd just fall asleep in the middle. So I once asked my rabbi, I said, Rabbi, how many hours do you sleep? He only sleeps 3 hours a night. 3 hours. And I asked him, when are you going to sleep? He says, I'll have enough time to sleep when I die. But while I'm on earth, right, I have work to do. So I said to him, but when do you sleep? So he actually sleeps at 11 o'clock every night, and he's up at 2. I asked him, why? Would it hurt you to sleep a few more hours? He says, from 8 o'clock till 11 o'clock, he's busy every single minute. And I'm telling you, my rabbi is busy every single minute. He's dealing with major communal issues. He's dealing with his own yeshiva. He's dealing with his own kollel. He has programs, and he's an unbelievable Torah scholar. So he's teaching all over the place. He doesn't have time for himself to learn. So he wakes up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and at 2 o'clock nobody bothers him. From 2 to 6 he can learn. Right? Because it's a priority. So he makes it his business to be up.
But he could get sick.
He could. So he told me that it's taken many years. He used to sleep 7 hours or 8 hours, and then it slowly went to 7:45, and then to 7:30, and then 7:25, and slowly trained himself very methodically. So slowly to need a quarter of an hour less, and a quarter of an hour less, and a quarter of an hour less, till he got to the point where that's like the minimum. So sometimes he falls asleep in the middle of the day while he's sitting with me. It's fine. Right? It's okay. It's okay. To me, it's a merit to have the opportunity to spend time with him. So as we said before, in Mesilat Yesharim it says, Ki teva ha'adam kaved me'od. Me'od. The nature of man is that we're very heavy. We're heavy. We just want to sit by the couch and even to push the keys on the remote is too heavy, King Solomon in chapter 6, verse 6 of Proverbs says the following thing. He says, Lech el nimala atzel. Lazy one, go to the ant. Go to the ant. And when you go to the ant, what's going to happen? You go to the ant. You ever see those little ants, right? You ever see them just sitting on a beach chair with sunglasses, one foot over the other foot, just relaxing, reading the paper? There's no such thing. That our sages tell us an amazing thing. Our sages tell us that an ant needs one kernel to survive its entire lifetime. One kernel. All it needs is one kernel. It gets that one kernel, brings it back. That's enough that it needs for its entire lifetime. Do you know how many kernels it collects in its lifetime? Over 1,000. The Gaon of Vilna says over 1,000. You know why? Can't help himself. He's got to work. He's busy. That's the trait, by the way, of nimala. It means an ant. Comes from the same root word, amelut. Amelut or amel, which means toil. It doesn't know how to live without toiling. It's busy. It's constantly busy. It always has something to do. You know why? It's true that he has one kernel. That's enough for him. But he needs to keep himself busy. Right? So he goes to get more. You know, in Ethics of Our Fathers, Pirkei Avot, which soon we're going to have all of these books that I mentioned, we're going to have them right here. It's going to be amazing in the new library. It's going to be fascinating, right? That we can just, I just mentioned the name of a book. We can pull it out right there and open it up. It's just, I can't wait. Either way, so one of the Mishnahs says the following: Al tomar kishe'efne eshne shema lo tipaneh. A person should never say kishe'efne eshne. When I have time, when I have free time, then I will review my studies. Then I will get it done. Why? Shema lo tipaneh. Because maybe you won't have that free time ever. So don't say, when I have time, just do it now. Because you made just the word that the fact that you can even say it means that you have some time right now that you can even utter those words. Right? So don't even utter the words, do it. Now it's amazing. I'm sure many of you can identify with this, where there's sometimes you wake up in the morning and you say, you know something? Today's just not my day. Today I just want to turn it over to side B, right? And go back to sleep. And it's rainy, or today I'm just a lazy day, or it's Monday, or everyone has their excuses of why to that one day. So there's a solution that we're going to talk about of how to make that day a great day. All right? And the solution is take the easiest task that you can do. The easiest task. You have a list. I'm sure everybody has a list of things they want to do for that day, that rainy day, right? That someday I'll get these things done. I want to go through the albums, and I want to do this, and I want to scan all my papers, and I want to go paperless. And everyone has things that they want to do at some point, or they want to go on some vacation. They want to go do something. When are you going to get it done? Today. Today. So, Al Tomar, don't push it off. We also say in Ethics of Our Fathers, in Pirkei Avot, chapter 1, Mishnah 14, we say, Im lo achshav, ematai. If not now, when? If you're not going to do it now, you're never going to do it. Right? If not now, then when? And it's a rhetorical question. Right? When are you going to do it? If you don't do it now, you're not going to have time later. All right? So there's another Mishnah that I want to share with you. Now it's interesting, when we talk about chapters of Ethics of Our Fathers, these 6 chapters have the greatest wealth of wisdom of any book you will ever find. Because imagine, I went around the room here and I said, I want you to think about the 3 most important principles that you want to give over to your children. 3. All right? So you think long and hard. What are these 3 most important principles that you need to have? And you know what you'll come up with? You'll come up with the 3 most important things your children need to know. And you're going to try to find a summary for each of them, because you only have 3 options. Right? You only have 3. That's what Ethics of Our Fathers is. Ethics of Our Fathers is the wisdom of all of our sages who were living at that time. And each one of them summarized, if you want to be a person who's filled with enrichment, a person who's filled with maximizing pleasure, true pleasure, not counterfeit pleasure. If you want to be a person who's maximizing life, you follow these principles. And every one of these sages gave their 3 most fundamental principles to follow.
Maybe repeat this to my children. Don't ever say tomorrow for something you can do today.
That's right. Yehuda ben Tema in chapter 5, Mishnah 20, says the following. Hevi az kanamer, kal kanesher, ratz katzvi, and gibor kari. Right? Az kanamer. Be courageous. Sorry, az means... it could be strength, but it could also be, or I would say, take chances, go for it, okay? Like a namer is a leopard, right? Kal kanesher, be light like an eagle. Ratz katzvi, run like a deer. And then gibor kari. What's a gibor kari? It's a courageous like a lion. Courageous like a lion. Ratz katzvi. What is ratz katzvi? Ratz katzvi is that a deer is the strongest animal, but it's also an animal that runs. That's not the fastest. Right, but the idea is like this. It's swift, right? It's swift. It goes with all its passion. It goes with, it runs with such an elegance, but it runs full force. Full force. That's the way we need to run. When we're going to do something, don't be wishy-washy about it. Don't have any thoughts in your mind that maybe not. Go for it. Do it. Right? How do they say Nike? Just do it. Just do it. Go for it. Okay? So I want to share with you a story, and I want to thank... I left my phone in my car. I didn't even record it. But there's a great story that I'd like to share with you. The Maggid of Koznitz. I'm going to say this b'shem omro. It says in the Talmud. I'll tell you in a second. The Talmud says that if you repeat something in someone else's name, meaning the person you heard it from, right, you bring the redemption sooner. Right? You bring the redemption to this world. There's many reasons. We can talk about it another time. So I want to say it in the name of my source. You have to say things when you repeat something. Don't take the credit for it. Give it back to the source. Let them take the credit. So I was learning through the book of Rabbi Abraham J. Tursky, an incredible author. If you have any of his books, you'll know. An unbelievable author. I think we have one book of his here so far. We'll have many more, hopefully, in the New Torch Library. So he, in his book on ethics of our fathers, I believe it's called Visions of Our Fathers. And he has an incredible story there on Mishnah 2 of chapter 4. He says the following. The Maggid of Koznitz was once at a Shabbos table, and he got up at some point during the meal, and by mistake he moved the table, like he brushed on the side of the table, and it shook the table a little bit, and one of the Shabbos candles that was on the table, fell over and got extinguished. So the Rebbe started crying, he started weeping, and he was like, uncontrollably, he couldn't. So his son says, Father, what's the problem? It was by mistake. You're not going to be liable from heaven for desecrating the Shabbos. Like, what's the big deal? Why are you crying? He says, no, you don't understand. He says, I'm not crying about the candle. But the Mishnah tells us that when someone does a sin, it leads to another sin. And when someone does a mitzvah, it leads to another mitzvah. And I'm terrified, what's the following sin that may lead after this? He was so terrified, right? Now what's the idea over here? That same principle works in life, in every area of life, in laziness. When we are lazy, we're in a lazy mood, you know what you need to do? Just do one action. Because what does one action lead to? Another action. So if you're in a rut, you're in a lazy state, you know what you have to do? Do one thing. Because that one thing will lead to another thing. How many times do you say, you know what? Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to go. You know what they say, how does a man bring in the mail? Right? It can take him 6 hours to bring in the mail. You know why? He goes to the mail, and he sees that the mailbox is like shaking a little. So he says, you know what? I'm going to go to the garage to get the screwdriver to tighten the mailbox, right? So he goes to the garage, and he sees on the way to the garage that the hose wasn't rolled up. So, and one thing leads to the next. 10 hours later, he's like, why did I leave the house? I forgot why I went out, right? I forgot even to get the mail, right? So
Rabbi, which mail do you know that's going to do that?
no, there are some.
I do that all the time. Start on one thing.
But we see an incredible thing from last week's Torah portion. Lech Lecha. It's actually a week and now, it's already 2 weeks ago. But we see Vayashkem. One second, was it this week? Sorry, it was just this week. Vayashkem Avraham Baboker. When God told Abraham, go sacrifice your son. The binding of Isaac. What did Abraham do? Abraham didn't say, you know what? Let me wait till the afternoon, when the sun is a little bit cooler. Vayashkem Avraham Baboker. The earliest, as soon as the sun was about to rise, boom, let's go. Why? Because Abraham was teaching us that the nature of human beings is to procrastinate, push things off, push them to later. I'll get to it tomorrow, next week, in 2 weeks, in January, right? You know, that's the way people are.
This is always a question with Rabbi Strauss and synagogue.
Well,
Whether he fell or he won, you know.
that's right. Well, Abraham was a winner.
No.
Yes,
No,
he was. He was a winner.
It's a dilemma.
And, well, it's not a dilemma in my book.
It was one because
It's not.
he followed God's ways and with his faith that he know God will provide. And he fell in one thing, not argue to God for his own life, for his son.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it in the Chumash class. We'll talk about it in the Chumash class.
Okay.
But I wholeheartedly disagree.
It's a dilemma.
Abraham did not fail. Abraham was a winner. Abraham did not let laziness take him over. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Let's stay to the topic here. He did not let laziness take him over. It's very easy. You just got to let the Yetzer Hara in one little bit. And you know what happens? He takes over. He makes himself at home. You let the evil inclination in. You let him push you over and say, you know what? 10 o'clock I'll do it. 11 o'clock I'll do it. 12 o'clock I'll do it. 1 o'clock. And before you know it, it doesn't get done. Okay. Vayashkem Avram Baboker. As soon as he got up, immediately saddled his donkey, took his son, took his servant, and boom, they're off on the race, off to the races. It all starts with I don't want to do it now. That's where it starts. I don't want to do it now. Right? I'll get to it later. These are all phrases we're all familiar with. I'll get to it later. Right? But I don't want to do it now. You know, if you look at organizational books that help you organize your life, books that help you. I actually have a fantastic book. It's what is it called? It's called Getting Things Done. Getting Things Done, and it's like the stress-free guide to it's the guide to a stress-free life. And one of the rules that he has over there is you touch a paper once. Right? So, and this is the way you can clean up a room very quickly. You pick it up and you don't put it down until you put it away in the right place. Right? And we'll talk about, in a minute, we'll talk about, the same author has a great idea of how to divide your different things. Right? So let's say something you need to take care of later. Right? So there's a system that he uses, and a very good system. But it's the touch the paper once policy. You touch it once, and you don't put it down until, okay? What is this? Don't just like make a pile. You put it in the right place, or you throw it out. You do whatever you need to do with it. Okay. One who is lazy forgets why they're in this world. All right. It's a result of forgetting why we're here. We don't realize, and it's an incredible thing. I want to share with you an amazing story. And I know that Bill Gates never thought that I'd be repeating a story from him in this class. I don't have the end of the
Make it up.
page 2.
Make it up.
Can you please, on my printer, on the printer in my office, there's a page there, the second page of my notes, I'm sorry. Thank you so much. So an incredible story. Bill Gates was talking about Steve Jobs.
Oh my goodness.
Okay? Bill Gates was talking about Steve Jobs, and he said the following, quote, "It's very strange to have somebody who's so vibrant and made such a huge difference and been kind of a constant presence to have him die," Gates said. "It makes you feel like, wow, we're getting old. I hope I still have quite a bit of time for the focus I have now, which is I might have another copy of it here, which is the philanthropic work that he was doing. And there are drugs, he says, we're investing in now that won't be out for 15 years, which is for malaria eradication. I need a couple of decades here to fulfill that opportunity. But you know, it reminds you that you got to pick important stuff because you only have a limited time. Realize what he's saying here? And that's, I found it in a CNET article in 2012.
Trying to eliminate malaria from the world.
Right? And that's great. That's great. So he's focused on something which is important. But the idea here, forget about the details of that. Just that last statement. You know, it reminds you that you got to pick important things to focus on. All right, thank you. I'm sorry. Because you only have limited time. We are not here forever. I know we think we're here forever. But guess what? Hopefully we'll live to 120 beautiful years, filled with good health and happiness, and have tremendous nachas from our children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. But you know what? At some point we go. So we have to make that decision now that life is limited, life is important, life is precious, and I'm going to make the best out of it. And I'm going to work hard. I'll have plenty of time to sleep, like my rabbi said. I'll have plenty of time to sleep after we die. So that's one story. We'll have several more soon. One who is lazy forgets why they're in this world. Someone who's lazy doesn't know why they're living. Because if we knew why we were living, sure as heck would get ourselves moving and get ourselves motivated. And I got to get things done. And we'll talk about vacation in a minute. All right? There's a difference between good vacation. It's a quicker minute than you thought. Right? There's good vacation and there's bad vacation. You need to use a vacation to re-energize so that you can work harder later. Right? You could go on vacation to lazy around. Oh, it's June, it's time for vacation. Or you could use your vacation to re-energize, to realign yourself, to spend the quality time you need both with yourself and with your loved ones. But that's the purpose of vacation is not to just, you know what, I just want to do nothing. That may be in its own right a valuable thing. But use it to your benefit. Use it to your advantage. Use vacation to re-energize yourself and align yourself to what's important. All right?
In Switzerland.
Right? Again, for a purpose. Everyone has something they are excited to do right away. We all have something that we don't want to wait. We don't want to delay. Use that excitement for other things. You can do a shift of motivation. When you have excitement to do something, so do something you're excited to do and then shift that excitement to something you weren't as excited to do. Who's not excited to eat ice cream? Right? Well, I don't know. Chocolate. I got you by chocolate. Okay, good. So I was worried about the ice cream. Right? Chunky chocolate in the ice cream?
No, dark chocolate. No, just
Okay,
dark
just dark
chocolate.
chocolate.
My coffee, no sugar.
Okay, great. So everyone has something they are excited to do right away without delay. Use that excitement to other things. All right? Put it sure that you dislike sometimes before eating that ice cream, before eating that chocolate. use that chocolate as a motivator. So you say, you know what? I want to have my chocolate. Oh, come on. It's time for me to enjoy life, right? You know what? I'm just going to make that phone call to my friend who's sick. I'm just going to go call him and check up. Then I can have it. I'll reward myself with that thing that I am motivated. Right? I do that with my children all the time. Instead of fighting with them and telling them that they should eat their dinner, right? Motivate them. Find something that they would like for a snack tomorrow and say, you know what? And this is a special treat. You finish eating all your dinner, I'm putting this in your knapsack so you have it for tomorrow. Right? So one motivation leads to the other motivation. Okay? Okay, so as a precondition to eating the ice cream or the chocolate, try and infuse the same energy into the things you enjoy less. Right? You don't enjoy, ironing your shirts, but it's got to get done, right? So you know what? I'll iron the shirts and then I'll enjoy my ice cream. Then I'll watch my TV show. Then I'll go on the internet and read the news. Then I'll do the things that I enjoy doing. I'll go do the exercise or whatever it is that you enjoy doing. So David Allen, in the book that I mentioned earlier, in Getting Things Done, it's not a very long, big book, not a long read, but he has a 4 Ds policy. Okay? 4 Ds. Number 1, do, defer, delay, delete. Okay? Do means do it right away. And you make yourself, you go into your office and you're like, oh my goodness, look at all these papers. Make 4 piles. Do, defer, delay, and delete. Right? And as soon as you finish with those 4, you have your 4 piles. The delete is in the garbage. And then those that delay, put a date for it that you're going to do. Defer, you move on. That'll be for next week. And the do pile, you take care of immediately. All right? I say you can get rid of way number 3 and make it a 3-step process. Right? Just do, defer, and delete. Right? So that way, it makes it easier. Okay. Researchers say that dementia comes when people stop being active. Use it or lose it. It's an amazing thing. I was talking with a physical therapist. Some of you may know a fantastic physical therapist. His name is Abraham Lieberman, Bel Air Physical Therapy, and he told me an amazing medical fact. He said that people who go to the hospital and don't move a specific limb, any limb, for 2 days, they lose the mobility, the full mobility of that limb for potentially up to 1 year. 2 days of immobility in any specific limb can cause 1 year of delayed full restoration of the use of that muscle. It's an incredible thing. Now think about this for a second. This is scary. Think about what would happen. What would happen if, God forbid, we didn't use our brain for 2 days? And we just sit and watch, what do they call it? Binge watch your favorite show. So you want to watch a rerun on Netflix, right? And you just, for 2 days, can you imagine the devastation for the mind? Right? It may be a good break. Again, if you need the break, use the break. But again, we have to be very, very careful in not being active. Right? It leads to terrible things. So you use it or lose it. My rabbi was once telling me, he was explaining to me, that your mind is like a muscle. Obviously, your mind is not a muscle, but it's like a muscle. A muscle, if you don't use it, you lose it. Your mind, if you don't use it, you lose it. Right? They say about the great sages, you're not supposed to think Torah thoughts in the restroom. So what would they do? They want to keep their minds busy. They would they would have mathematics. Right? They would have books. All right? Arithmetic problems, right, that they needed to solve, because they always wanted to be using their mind. You use it, it stays sharp, right? Right? You're sitting, think about it, right? People are reading brainless tabloid media, right? They sit and they're reading all about that actor, or about that actress, and about this and about that. It's like, what does that do for our mind? other than poison it. So, dementia comes when we don't use it. And I would say that it's important for us to always be thinking about something. Learn something new. You know what? You have some free time? Go to the library or go on the internet and learn something new. It's funny.
That's what I do.
Does anybody here have a piece of machinery, something they bought on a good deal online? They got it and they never touched it since because they don't know how to use it? Right? Figure it out. I know my mother-in-law for Pesach, she asked me to use a certain machine to help her pack things away, and it's been sitting. I don't know how long it's been sitting there, but I had no idea how to use this machine. Absolutely no idea. So what do? Well, go on YouTube and you search how do you use this, right? And boom, in 30 seconds, you got it done, and now you can work. Otherwise, you'd be limited. I don't know what to do. We have such a tremendous, just as a side note, we have such tremendous resources today on the internet. And it could be used for good, it could be used for terrible things. Right? But we see one of the good things is that we're able to broadcast our classes online. But we have such ability to learn things at an instant. You know what, one of the things a person should never ask? How do you do that? Don't ask that question anymore. Just put it into YouTube or into Google, Rabbi Google, and he'll give you the answer right away. He'll give you the answer right away. Right? I can't use this as an example because this was too easy to go look. Right? How to put up the ceiling over here. It was too easy. It was like, this was brainless. Right? But it's always be busy learning new things. There should never be a time that we're not learning something new. Right? And now, I must give credit to my brother, Rabbi Yaakov, but I'm extremely computer proficient. All right? I know my way around the computer very well. I've been using computers for over 20 years, right? And I know most of the major programs inside out. And I was doing a simple task last week with my brother on copying data over from one program to another program, and it was a whole. And I was using a third program to neutralize the text, so it shouldn't be embedded with all of the one more. Oh, one more. So he showed me a trick. He says, "Can I show you something?" I'm like, "Sure. What don't I know? Let me see what I don't know about computers." And he showed me. He was like, "I cannot believe I never knew that before. I cannot believe I never knew that before." Right? But you learn new things. And I was so happy. I thanked him so many times. Right? I really am deeply grateful. It's so important to look. You need an eraser now? Please. Can you please pass it down over here to the But okay, so we have you know what they say. If you want something, you need some help getting something done, ask a busy person.
You can say this time because מלמדי השכלתי ויותר מתלמידיי, because you know.
So, if you want something to get done, ask a busy person. A busy person knows how to get things done. That's why they're busy, right? They get things done. That's their strength. Laziness means putting your physical desires before your spiritual ones, your personal preference versus your obligations. Right? Think of it as what we said before. Sometimes you have things you want to get done, right? Or things you need to get done versus things you want to get done. Which one gets done first, usually? The things you want to get done. My grandfather had a challenge when he was in yeshiva. In yeshiva, there are two primary areas of knowledge that you're gaining. One is Talmudic knowledge, analytical analysis, or an analysis of the Talmud. And then you have inspirational, which we'll call Mussar knowledge. Now, my grandfather, for those of you who know about my grandfather, I've mentioned it in previous classes, was very attracted to the Mussar strand. Right? He was very inclined to that topic. But he had a dilemma. He had 2 classes he needed to take notes for. Was when he was a student. He had to take for his Talmud class. He had to write notes and review. And then he had from his Mussar class that he had to take notes and review. Which one should he do first?
Yeah.
So he did the Talmud one first. He did the Talmud one because the other one he's so motivated, he's going to get it done anyway. But the other one he's not motivated for as much. So he'll do that one first, and then he'll go to do the one he prefers. I'll tell you an interesting story. The great Rabbi Yisrael Salanter lived almost 200 years ago, the founder of the Mussar movement. And now, back in his days, people would smoke cigarettes like they do today, but it was much more common. They weren't known medical repercussions for smoking. So it was the middle of the night, and he wanted a cigarette. He needed a cigarette. So the only place he can get a cigarette was on the other side of town. There's a market, a little like shop that he can go buy it. So he wanted to know, what should he do? Should he go get himself a cigarette, which would really show a side of him which might not be flattering? What side of him? Urges. He can't even control his urges. He has an urge and he goes to get it. He's even ready to walk across town to go get a cigarette. Right? Lack of self-control. But on the other hand, if he stays in bed, it might show laziness. Right? So he's in a big dilemma here. He can't stay in bed because he'd be lazy. He can't go get it because then he's just giving in to his urges. So what did the rabbi do? The rabbi went to the other side of the city, didn't buy the cigarette, and came back. Right? That way, he fulfilled both of them. He's not lazy because he walked all the way to the other side of the city, and he doesn't give in to his urges because he didn't buy the cigarette. Right? That's the way we have to think. I have to think, you're right, I want to get things done, but I also want to get things I need to get done. Not the things I want to get done. I want to have that cigarette, right? But I need to not be lazy. So he fulfilled both. Right? He walked across the city, but he didn't have the cigarette. Now again, this is not an endorsement for smoking, right? I don't recommend it. My father smoked for 38 years. Not a good idea at all. May he live and be well to 120 years. Amen. But he's had some issues, some heart disease because of smoking for so many years. And we of course wish him a refuah shlema. He should have a complete and quick recovery from all of his ailments. He had 2 open heart surgeries. He's an amazing man. So God willing, Hashem will we need him, and Hashem needs him here. All right, so we learn from Nike, just do it. You know something? I have every couple of years I do a competition with my dear brother-in-laws. I hope they're not watching here on Facebook Live. But I do a competition. We do a weight loss competition. And I won. Okay, thank you very much. We checked in November 7th, and I beat them both, beat them hard. But here's my policy. Anybody here have a membership to a gym? Nobody. Well, you do have a membership. Okay. Anybody here go regularly? Anybody wish they could go more often? Yes? So let me tell you my trick. My trick is, don't say that you're going. Get dressed as if you're going. Right? Because you have to trick yourself sometimes. No, I'm not going. But once you're dressed, you're going to go. Right? So the Yetzer Hara is pushing against you, saying, don't go. So you know what? Yetzer Hara, relax. I'm not going. I'm just putting on my jogging shoes. Right? I'm just putting on my workout clothes. That's it. Once you have it on, you might as well go. Right? So again, you got to trick yourself sometimes to get out of that laziness. It says in Tractate Pesachim, it says that the Shekhinah, the holy presence of the Almighty, does not reside in a place of laziness. Doesn't reside in a place of... God can't reside in a place of laziness. It contradicts everything in godliness to be lazy and unproductive. Right? This is a world of productivity. This is a world of action. This is what this world is called, by the way. Olam ha'asiyah. This is the world of doing. You know, it's very interesting. In the world to come, you can relax, you can enjoy, you can bask in the goodness of God with being untethered to any desires, to any urges, to nothing, no distractions. But the only way we can get there is if we accomplish what we need to accomplish here. And we push ourselves more than we think we're capable. We keep on pushing. No stopping. So, the Shekhinah doesn't reside in a place of laziness.
Rabbi, it says Shekhinah. Because
Okay.
Rabbi Rosen, the Yankee
Okay,
from
okay, fine,
New
fine,
York
fine.
can say
Okay,
it.
okay.
You can
The
say it.
fine.
He's a liberal.
The
He's
Shekhinah.
religious.
The Shekhinah.
Shekhinah.
Okay. Okay. So how do we fix it? We fix it by what we said before. Mitzvah goreret mitzvah. Avera goreret avera. A mitzvah pulls on its tracks another mitzvah. A sin, God forbid, pulls right after it another sin. Right? One leads to the other. We said that story before. Right? One pushes the next one, pushes the next one, pushes. There's a chain reaction. We have to be so careful that we get a positive momentum going at the beginning of our day, so that we don't start lazying out. Once one leads to the next, and it's not a good. It's a downward spiral. Okay. So one of the rules that we use for overcoming laziness is start with something easy, something simple, right? That will start your engines. Don't try to start driving on fifth gear, right? Anyone who's familiar with how you drive a stick shift car, you can't start driving on fifth gear. You have to start on first gear. It's easy. Then you move it. You pick up a momentum. You get it to second gear. Pick up more momentum. Move it to third gear. Eventually to fourth gear, to fifth gear. And if you're a truck driver, all the way up to 13th gear or whatever gear they have, right? But the idea is that you got to start slow. You got to start with something easy. Start with the easy gear and work your way up, right? Comfort seeking is the root of laziness. It's the root of laziness. One who is lazy will lose greatness. If you're lazy, you'll lose your greatness. Okay? Well, laziness welcomes a life of mediocrity. That's not me saying, it's the Gaon of Vilna saying this. He says, mediocrity comes because someone allows laziness in. Right? When you get lazy, so it doesn't have to be done all the way. I just did it. It's enough. It doesn't need... Who wants to be mediocre? Who wants to be okay? Right? Our children's wedding or our children's bar mitzvahs, we don't want it to, or bat mitzvahs, right? We don't want it to be we made a party and that's it. We want it to be special. We want it, right? So we work hard for it. We're motivated. Mostly not because of the kid, mostly because it represents us, and we want to make sure that we look good, and so the neighbors see, or whatever. No, I'm just kidding. Of course not, right? But we have to make sure that we don't allow mediocrity in our life. Right? Okay is not okay. Right? What we mentioned in our class yesterday, Sunday morning at Bris Shalom at 11 o'clock, we said the following from the book Good to Great by Jim Collins. He starts off the book and he says, good is the enemy of great. If all you want is good, you'll never get great. All right? Good is the enemy of great. Laziness is the enemy of excellence. Right? Laziness will only result in mediocrity. Okay? Now we see the Nisi'im. Who are the Nisi'im? These were the heads of the tribes. So as soon as Moses opened the doors for donations for the temple, so the Nisi'im, who were wealthy people, they had capability. They said, you know something? Let's wait till everybody else gives, and then whatever's left over we'll give. They were punished for that. The Nisi'im, this is in Exodus 35, chapter 35, verse number 27. They gave the Miluim stones. They gave the very important stones that were needed in the temple, and part of the ephod, part of the choshen. Right? They gave these expensive stones, and yet they were punished. Right? Why? Because they waited till the end. They didn't do. You could have done it right away in the beginning. What did you wait till the end for? Now they convinced themselves, perhaps, that we're doing it because we want to give everybody else a chance. But God knows what's in everyone's heart, and therefore they were punished. Right? In that the Torah even mentions, right? It says that their names were missing a yud, missing a letter, to show, right? To show that it was a punishment for them not jumping at doing it at the first available opportunity, right? Because Hashem was upset that they delayed in doing the mitzvah. It's like a person who delays in making the reservation to a dinner event. Right? We're coming, yeah, but haven't sent the RSVP yet, right? In Numbers, we see that the Nisi'im corrected their ways and were the first to contribute for the inauguration of the temple. They were the first to contribute, right? They learned their lesson. They saw the first time, they waited till the end. The second time, they were the first to give, right? So it's important. It's not only dinners, it's also if someone's invited to a wedding, and I'm guilty of this as well. I'm just saying, you know what, I'll get it done. I'll send out the card, and then you end up seeing them. You say, oh yeah, we're coming. Well, we can get the reply card. Yeah, we're coming, don't worry, put us down. Right? How are they supposed to remember to put you down? 50 people told them the same thing, right? It took me to make one bar mitzvah to know this, right? That people would tell me, yeah, I'm coming, don't worry, I'm coming, and then you don't remember. Just 30 people told me they're coming. I have no idea who they were, right? They send you a reply card. They send you, even if you can't make it, Mazel Tov, we wish we could be there, and send it back. Right? I think that's a very good test. One second. I think it's a very good test for a person to know where they're holding in laziness when it comes to those things. Get it done immediately. You have it in your hand. Hold it once. Take care of it. Don't put it down. Yes?
There is an explanation why they did that? Why they were late?
Well, again, the excuse they gave was so that they can give everybody else an opportunity to give.
Oh, that's the explanation.
Yeah. But again, God wasn't happy with that. God says, no, that's unacceptable. Okay.
But Rabbi,
Yeah.
it's also to the same degree then when they went into the land where the giants and everything, and they said that it's unhabitable.
Right.
That's also could be.
It could be, yeah. It could be. It could be that's laziness, right? Think about what has been pushed off because of laziness, and commit to begin one action to counteract the laziness and work towards that action. All right? Think of something you've pushed off, right? Something that's been pushed to the side, you already don't even, right? Find that thing and say, you know what, I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to make one phone call. Many times you'll find that, I have to make calls all the time. I have to call people all the time. I have to call people to help me fix this. I've been calling for 6 months. It still hasn't been taken. I said, that's it. I got to get it done myself. I'm just going to do it, right? Sometimes you have to make one phone call. You have to take one step. Sometimes you called someone at the wrong time. Call them again. Try again. Just do one. Give one more attempt before you give up on it. Okay? Laziness could mean putting our purpose before our desires and wants, God before ourselves. Right? We have to put God before ourselves. Yes?
When does calling become a pest to somebody?
Okay, but you're in the sales field, right?
Yeah.
You know that sometimes, you know what they say in the fundraising world? Okay, they say, okay, this is free, unsolicited advice for all those watching on Facebook. If you're a fundraiser, right? They say no, N-O, doesn't mean no. No, when somebody, hey, call up, hey, I want to know if I can meet with you, you say, no, get out of my life, right? And they hang up the phone, right? You know what that means? It means K-N-O-W. It means they need to know more, right? Don't give up, right? I recently had a story where I called someone who's been very, very generous to this organization, to Torch, and has helped us tremendously. I know they've been undergoing tremendous pressure. They told me 6 months ago, I can't talk to you till the end of the year. I called them 9 months ago. He says, I told you not to call me till the end of the year. Right? So today I called them. Again, it's almost the end of the year, right? So they said, actually, can we meet this week? Right? There you go. Right? You never know. You never know. It could be they were in a bad mood then. It could be that they were... We don't know what it is. We have no idea what's going on in other people's lives. But at least we can try. Let's not give up. Okay? Let's not be lazy. Let's not allow opportunities to slip away. Again, so laziness could mean putting our purpose before our desires and wants. Right? We need to put God before ourselves sometimes, right? Right? We see that Abraham put God, of course, he put his fulfillment of God's wish, right? While God was visiting Abraham, he went to go out and greeted the guests. And we see that God was happy with that. Go do the mitzvah. That's what I commanded you to do. Go do that mitzvah. And God, well, how do we see that? Because God waited till he was done taking care of his guests. Then God is still waiting there for him, right? Pushing things off for another time is a form of laziness because the I wants something now, right? Why did you push something off? Because I want something now. So that is going to get pushed off. Right? Think of how many things, if we didn't push them off, sometimes the big worry is, again, let's go back to the first thing we said. We're heavy by nature. You're not evil, right? You're heavy. We're all heavy by nature. We're all a brick, right? We're all a heavy brick. But don't forget that heavy brick that we are has feet and has a mind and has emotion and has desires and has urges and has, motivation. Let's get that brick to do something, right? Let's be energized. Tiredness breeds tiredness, but action breeds action. Okay, now it's a very interesting thing. I once saw, there was a great man, his name is Mr. Avi Shulman. He used to come learn with us in yeshiva. He was probably, now, I don't know how old he is now. He seems to me like he's forever young. But he was probably in his 50s or 60s then. And we were in our early 20s, late teens, early 20s. And he'd come sit and learn with us in our class because the rabbi who taught us was such a great rabbi. He wanted to learn from him. He'd come every day for exactly on time for the lecture, and he'd leave right after the lecture. And I noticed that every time he came, he parked his car in the exact same way. Instead of pulling into the parking spot, he pulled back into the parking spot. He always backed into the parking spot. And I was always wondering, why does he back into the parking spot? I think I figured it out.
In case of a fire.
No. Why would I park it straight into the parking lot? Because right now, I just want to park. Right? Right now, okay, laziness is really what I want to do now. Right now, I got here, I want to park and go. He was thinking, how can I not be lazy? You know how I cannot be lazy? That I'm not going to, because later I'm going to have to back out of the spot. So later I have no choice because I want to leave, so I'm going to have to back out. Right. But what's if I backed in now?
It's easier later.
It's easier to leave later, but I do it now. Later I have to because I have no choice. What's if I did it now? Right? So I started backing in to my spots. Right? Right? I think it's just an extra motivation not to be lazy. Why should I do it later? I'll do it now. If I can do something now, why do it later? I'm going to have to do it later anyway. Do it now. Right? I'm going to see everyone tomorrow. Everyone's back into
All the cars are parked.
Yeah. No cars allowed to park facing, because we're gonna put a sticker on the back of your car, lazy bum. It's like, do it now. Don't wait for later. Don't wait for later. Especially if it's going to need to get done later. You can do it now. Do it now. Okay? Okay, so
I've
there's...
never heard that before, the Kaved Mitivot.
Yeah.
Where is it? Never.
Can you pass me the green book right there?
No.
Right there. Yeah.
This one?
Yeah. Boom. Library. I love it. Okay? I'll tell you exactly where it is so that you believe me. It is in chapter... It's okay. It's okay. It's in chapter 6 of the Ramchal. Okay, shh, 1 second. Okay, where does it say? Here we go. In the third paragraph of Ramchal's Mesilat Yesharim, you have over here the Feldheim edition of the Path of the Just. On the third line, third paragraph in chapter 6, which is speaking about the virtue of alacrity, of zrizut. He says, "V'tireh, ki teva ha'adam kaved me'od." Notice that human nature is characterized by lethargy. It's heavy. Okay, I don't like the translation here, but it's fine. Please don't sue me, Feldheim. But ki teva ha'adam kaved me'od. The nature of man is heavy, very heavy. Me'od. Right? We're heavy by nature. You can see more about this, right? Over there, the bottom paragraph. Okay. Whenever we have an opportunity to do something or not to do something, and we decide to delay, even for the most noble of reasons, we should realize that such an attitude is really based on laziness and inertia. Right? This was a teaching from Reb Simcha Zissel Broida. And he says the following. He points out that regardless of the nobleness of the reason or justification for not doing something, a person must always carefully introspect and truly consider the possibility that the noble justification was only a fig leaf for a not so noble character, namely laziness. Right? Sometimes we'll give ourselves an excuse. Right? It's really because I was trying to help someone, or really I was trying to... Lazy. That's it. Nothing more than that. Right? So laziness is procrastination. It's pushing it off. I could do it now. Why do it later? Right? There's a quote I once saw. I don't have this here on my notes, but I just remember this. Get a pen. Today is the tomorrow you said yesterday. Right? Yesterday you said, when am I going to get it? I'll get it done tomorrow. Right? That's today. Right? Today is the tomorrow you said yesterday. Right? Someone who has laziness has a miserable life here and in the world to come, like we mentioned, because you won't maximize opportunities. You're going to miss out on opportunities, and those opportunities that we miss won't be available in the world to come. Right? So imagine, there's a story that's told about this guy who gets a letter from Macy's, and they say, you're our millionth customer. We're going to give you a gift that for 60 minutes you can shop, anything you can collect in the store. 1 hour, it's yours. So, it's at a certain time. You can come in, and anything you get is yours. So he comes in and he says, I have so much time here. I have an hour to go, right? So I'm gonna let me first look around. Let me see. And he starts saying, you know what? I'm going to get sneakers. I'm going to get sneakers so I can run really fast, right? So he's thinking, I'm going to get sneakers. So he goes to the sneaker section. He tries on a few pairs of sneakers. He says, these are good sneakers. He's going to start running around. He says, you know something? I know there are rollerblades. If I go to get the rollerblades, right, then I can skate around even faster, right? And you can imagine how it ends off. He ends off with nothing, right? Because we waste time. How many times in our life do we say, you know what? I still have many years to get it done. I'm going to write that book next year. I will take care of that in a few months. I'll take care of that in a few weeks. You don't get things done. And imagine if you would have gotten them done, you could have gotten more things done in the future. Okay? So let's not waste time. It's a very, very bad trait to be lazy. One who is lazy will miss out on life. Everything becomes difficult for a lazy person. Everything becomes difficult. I can't. My father used to say, in the army they taught him, I can't means I don't want to. In the Israeli army, that's what they say. I can't. There's no such thing as I can't. I can't just means I don't want to. Right? Okay, and it also says that it's impossible for someone to attain Torah wisdom with laziness. Right? And we mentioned there's a difference between wasting time and vacation. Right? If a person goes on vacation, there's a very good merit to going on vacation. It's important for us to re-energize, for us to grow, for us to realign ourselves, to really maximize the future. That's one type of vacation. But then there's another, it's just laziness. It's just to waste time. Right? And that we have to be careful about. Laziness weakens a person and doesn't make a person re-energized. Okay, that's the bottom line. I want to end off with one story here.
Before the story.
Yes, before the story.
What about the vacations that you go on, you're doing many things and you're re-energizing yourself, fine, but then you come back home and you're so tired that you have to take another vacation to recover from that.
That's a big problem. If you need a vacation from the vacation, that's a problem. Then you did a vacation well enough. Right? All right. So this story is told about Rabbeinu Bachya, that he writes in his introduction to his book, Chovot HaLevavot, which is Duties of Our Heart. He says, when I first decided to write this book, the thought crossed my mind that I was not worthy to write such a book, such a holy book. Therefore, I changed my mind and decided not to write it. The decision not to write it brought me some sense of relief and leisure, but I ultimately decided it was only laziness that caused me to come to the conclusion that I should not write it. Therefore, I did write the book, and the rest is history. All right? Klal Yisrael is so much richer, the Jewish people are so much richer today because of the final decision that Rabbi Bachya made, right, to write the book, right, to write and publish his works. Okay, so I want to give a few minutes for everyone to write, fill out your worksheets. But before we do that, I want to just summarize everything we said in 10 very succinct summary pieces. Okay, number 1. Laziness is a truly negative trait. Okay? Number 2, mankind was created earthly and lazy. Number 3, fighting our laziness is a life struggle. You're going to have to fight it forever. Number 4, don't postpone something to tomorrow when you can do it today. Number 5, life is the most precious gift. Use every minute wisely. Wasting time equals wasting life. Number 7, vacation is to rejuvenate, not to waste time. Number 8, start with something simple and small. Number 9, to get things done, do them right away. And then be busy always. Okay, that's the summary. We're going to turn off our Facebook Live. Just a reminder for everyone on Facebook that Mussar Mondays is every week at 7:30. We're here live in the classroom. We have a beautiful class today and every week. And it's also live on Facebook. So if you can't make it one week, you can always watch it at home. I will tell you, I love being here. I could teach it in my house also and just put it on Facebook and everyone will be at home. I think it's so much more quality to learning, not from a screen, but rather learning it in person. So we're going to turn off the Facebook Live. Thank you very much for watching.